Dear viewers, in this lecture we are going to discuss the theological and philosophical overtones of Paradise Lost. All great works of literature contain more than their ostensible subject. They start with a particular theme and reach out to touch those aspects of human situation which are universal in their significance. The same is true of Paradise Lost. Milton's Paradise Lost lends itself to more than one interpretations. On the surface, it is the tale of Adam and Eve committing the sin of transgression, and on a symbolic level, it is essentially the tale of the tragic ambiguity of human situation. Before we proceed with the implications of the fall, we need to focus on the Book 9 of Paradise Lost. The climax of the story takes place in this book. The book starts with Adam and Eve working in different parts of the paradise. Eve has chosen to work in another part, presumably under the influence of Satan's suggestion. The parting scene is very effectively portrayed. Both of them part reluctantly, as Eve slightly slides her hand out of her husband's. Milton focuses on her beauty and innocence for the last time. It is a slow and moving passage, as though Milton is reluctant to have them part. Eve promises to be back by noon to have noontide repast or lunch, but that lunch was never made or eaten. At noon, Eve was standing beneath the forbidden tree. Satan had played the trick. He had succeeded in tempting her to eat of the forbidden fruit. As she eats the forbidden fruit, she falls from grace. Adam also follows in the footsteps of Eve and eats the forbidden fruit. As a result, he also falls. Now both are fallen. Credulous nature. Eve falls because of her innocence or lack of knowledge. If she had known more, she would have been more suspicious of Satan's subtle discourse, but she could not have known more without eating of the forbidden tree of knowledge. Thus, her situation is paradoxical. Her sin is disobedience, it is true, but what caused her to commit this sin was her credulous nature. She was taken in by the cunning lies of Satan, never having met with lies or cunning before. Adam's rashness. Eve falls through credulity. Adam falls because of his rashness. He does not realize that the duty of an unfallen man who wants to help a fallen beloved is not to share her sin, but to intercede for her while he is yet sinless. In a cunning parody of courtly love tradition, Milton has Adam eat the apple as a glorious trial of exceeding love. As a result, both are rendered sinful and helpless. Punishment after the fall. Both Adam and Eve are punished after the fall. They are punished not only as individuals, but also as representatives of human race. On the one hand, they are endowed with power of procreation. On the other hand, they are made subject to death. As Eve is responsible for her fall as well as the fall of Adam, her punishment is more serious in nature. According to Christianity, she is afflicted with labor pains. As she is the prototype of all the women of the world share her labor pains with her. On the other hand, Adam is punished with hard work and toil. As Adam is prototype of all the men of the world, so all the men of the world share hard work and toil with Adam. Original sin. Original sin is the Christian doctrine that holds that humans, through the fact of birth, inherit a tainted nature and a proclivity to sinful conduct. They are in need of regeneration. The biblical basis for the belief is generally found in Genesis 3. The story of the expulsion of Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. In a line in Psalm, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. And elsewhere, therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people because all sin. Protestant reformers such as Martin Luther and John Calvin equated original sin with concupiscence or hurtful desire, affirming that it persisted even after baptism and completely destroyed freedom to do good, proposing that original sin involved a loss of free will except to sin. Before we conclude our discussion, it is pertinent to throw some light on Milton's humanism. Though Milton has tried to justify the ways of God to man, he does not seem to be satisfied with this sort of justification. Milton takes the fall as a means to liberate man's unlimited potentialities of self-fulfillment. Thus, the subject of Paradise Lost is less the logical justification of the ways of God to man than the tragedy of man and his moral recovery. Milton could not praise a fugitive or isolated concept of virtue. He could not conceive of life of pure meditation which was to be spent in Eden forever. The work was a punishment for the fall. The images of daily work are used throughout the poem to establish a note of satisfaction and recovery. Perpetual spring gives way after the fall to the procession of seasons. Yet it is the procession of seasons itself that gives meaning and dignity to human life. Paradise, the ideal world of innocent idleness, has become uninhabitable. They, looking back, all the eastern side beheld of paradise, so late their happy seed. Some natural tears they dropped, but wiped them soon. The world was all before them, where to choose their place of rest, and Providence their guide. They hand in hand, with wandering steps and slow, through Eden took their solitary way. The image of the labourer returning homeward in the evening sets the emotional tone of this concluding passage. Daily agricultural labour, duly accomplished, is a highly charged symbol of satisfaction in human achievement. Eden becomes hot and frightening. The simple phrase, so late their happy seat, renews the elegiac tone with memories of lost felicity. But natural tears give way to the pining spirit of hope, and so they go forth hand in hand, knowing that mutual love and help will sweeten the toil. To conclude, Paradise Lost is ostensibly the story of the fall of man and original sin, yet in reality it is a poem which is based on Milton's humanism. It is about man's tragic fall and his moral recovery or regeneration. Apparently, Milton claims to justify the ways of God to man. As he proceeds with the poem, his humanism gets the better of his moral preoccupation, and he seems to suggest that man cannot live in paradise forever, as it would deprive him of initiative and action. He must leave it to face the challenges of the fallen world. Thank you very much.